Hey everyone, this is a video guide to using Igloos in Minecraft speedruns. You can probably tell, but I finally got around to getting a new mic, so hopefully I sound a bit better. Igloos have been known for a while to be pretty powerful in Minecraft speedruns. They're kind of difficult to find and very difficult to know how to use properly. But when done right, they can give you a lot of ender pearls in a very short amount of time. And the reason this is because 50% of igloos spawn with this basement section. There's guaranteed to be one villager, one zombie villager, a splash potion of weakness, a brewing stand on the right, and a golden apple in a chest on the left. With these supplies, you can cure the zombie villager, turn him into a cleric, and trade for pearls lightning fast. So with that, I'm going to jump right into a speedrun to showcase how quickly you can do this. And then we'll go ahead and talk about some routing, trading, and strategy behind igloos. So in this example, I have 12 emeralds and 14 gold in my starting inventory. That's the most efficient number of materials we need to trade for all of our pearls. There's a lot of different things going on right now, but we'll slow this down and talk about each one of these pieces in the routing section after this. I do want to point out now that this route and strategy is actually the exact same in version 1.14 and 1.16. Igloos are a sub 20 minute type strategy, which is kind of a big deal for version 1.14. Not as much in 1.16, but it's still a really fun strategy. Here we're curing the zombie villager, and that's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. So in the meantime, we're going to have to find something else to do, like collect beds, find a lava pool, and go to the nether. But when we come back, we'll finish all of our trading. So after some time, we'll get the zombie doctor achievement, which means we've cured the villager at the bottom. We'll return to our igloo, and we'll make a cleric, level him up, and trade for our pearls. There's a couple variations on the trading. If you're short on emeralds, you can always make a Fletcher with the villager on the left and trade sticks with him. And there's going to be a specific order I trade with this cleric and do things here. We'll talk about why I'm doing this in the trading section. Again, there's always a 1/3 chance that when the cleric levels up, he won't offer you pearls, so kind of sucks, but this strategy is still fairly quick, even though a little bit risky. And yeah, after one more restock, we get 14 pearls, and we're done. So I'll stop the timer after we exit the igloo, but after this we'll kind of slow things down, break it down, and talk about structure and routing igloos. Alright, so for igloo structure and spawning, they are allowed to spawn in snowy tundra and snowy taiga biomes. They do not spawn in snowy mountains, ice spikes, or snowy taiga hills. From what I've seen, there's kind of 3 tiers of igloos in terms of how easy they are to spot. This first igloo is an example of the easiest one. This is surrounded by flat ground on snowy tundra. This igloo is kind of an example of one that's wedged into a hill, so it's a little bit more difficult to spot because it kind of blends in to the snow around it. And this igloo is the hardest one to spot. The ones that are kind of in the middle of snowy taiga, so they're kind of surrounded by trees and snow. These ones are very difficult to spot, but they do spawn on the edge of tree lines at times. As for igloo structure, most igloos are exactly the same. There will always be a bed, a crafting table, a furnace, redstone torch, 2 ice blocks on either side, and a carpeted floor. 50% of igloos, when you mine this one carpet, it's one from the back in the middle. 50% of igloos will just have snow underneath, and there's no basement section at all. But the other 50% of igloos are the useful ones, and there will be a basement section. There are 28 ladders that lead down to it that take a long time. And in the bottom here, we get the exact same setup every time. So brewing stand, cactus. This cauldron is 2/3 full of water, so you actually can't fill your water bucket up here. It's only 2/3. It's a little weird science experiment going on with these 2 guys over here. There's actually these 2 carpets and a cobweb every time. And in this chest, I'll throw up the loot table for this chest, but there's 100% of the time there's 1 golden apple in here. Sometimes you'll get like 1 bread from the wheat. You can get apples. Most of the time there's actually coal in here. This one's unlucky there isn't. But you can grab the furnace from up top and use the coal in here and smelt whatever type of food you find lying around. This brewing stand will always have at least 1 splash potion of weakness. Sometimes there's like a cactus here, it'll knock some more off, but there's always at least one here. So that's pretty much it for the structure. It's identical every time, this basement section is. So next thing, we can talk about routing, and we'll go over these ladders first. So the routing is pretty simple. I'm mainly just going to be talking about these annoying ladders here. But when I do enter an igloo, the first thing I do is I like to mine this carpet, just so I know there's a basement section. If there's no basement, it's pretty much just a reset on the spot, so I like to know first. If you already have beds, you don't need to take this one, but if you don't, it's nice to manipulate the day-night trading cycle by sleeping, so it's nice to always have a bed. And in snowy tundra, you're going to be lacking food a lot of the time, so you'll want a furnace as well. I'm going to time my descent up and down these stairs here, because these stairs are kind of annoying, and they'll add a lot of time on your speedrun, and there's not too much we can do about it, but I'm going to time it going down and then back up. Some routes in igloos, you're going to actually dig down from the igloo, so you won't actually need to do this ladder trip 4 times, but most routes you're going to actually have to do this twice. So this 22.5 seconds, you're going to have to go down, up, and then down, up again when you come back. And so that's going to be 45 seconds in your run. And there's a little trick we can shave some time off this, but we're still it's going to be kind of annoying. So this trick we came up with a while back. It's called delayed waterfall, and you can do a delayed waterfall when you're looking for lava as well. But the basic idea is you trap water behind a wood source, and then you light the wood on fire. And after a certain amount of time, the wood will burn and create a waterfall for you to easily get up and down. In this case, it's a little awkward to set up a water source because there's these carpets down here. If you put a block on one of these carpets, it'll just go above. So the same is true with water. If I try to put it on this carpet, it'll just go to the square above. So the best way I found is actually to aim at this back wall, place water, it'll destroy the carpets, and then you just place 2 planks surrounding the water. So we've got a trapped water source here now. It is nice to have water in our bucket, just in case. One of these 2 side ice blocks can be broken, and you can take water from here to refill your bucket. In case this waterfall is slow, you can slowly water bucket back up. But now I'm going to time the descent downwards here. And we look up and light those planks on fire. If you light a log on fire, it'll take about a minute for the waterfall to come down. 1 plank is about 10 to 30 seconds. 2 planks, though, bordered on fire, will take anywhere from maybe 5 to 15 seconds. So it's pretty fast. You can do your zombie villager curing while this water is coming down. Oh, I forgot to stop the timer, but it's about 15 seconds. And then when I time my run back up, it's going to be about 5 seconds going either up or down. So it's going to be 15 down, 5 up, and then 5 and 5 if we do manage to come back. So the ladder method is going to be 45 seconds total, and this method is going to be 30 seconds total. So 15 seconds isn't a huge time save. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but 15 seconds in a speedrun is kind of nice. Every second counts. So what you can do to have this be less annoying to get in here is actually just replace this water up here, so that you don't have to worry about, like, getting precision getting down here, because water flow when it's on a surface is kind of difficult to get into a space. So you could do that if you want. So I only have one other piece of routing advice for you, and it has to do with curing the zombie villager when you get down to the basement. I like to grab the splash potion and the apple as quickly as I can so that we can start the curing process. I prefer to break these 2 blocks, but you could break the iron bars. The zombie villager curing process basically picks a random amount of time between 3 and 5 minutes, but for every iron bar or bed around the villager in a 9x9x9 cube, will speed up the process by a tiny amount. So these 4 iron bars actually end up speeding up this process by 3 seconds. I know, it's crazy fast. So I like to keep these iron bars up for that 3 seconds of potential faster curing. But when I do come back and this villager is cured and I want to give him a job, I like to just break this and put the job block here or here in this position. This cauldron actually counts as a job block. So if the villager sees this first when you break these blocks, it'll actually turn into this job instead. So I like to just put this here. And then the same applies if you're doing something like a cleric or another job block over here. In this case, you can actually just break these iron bars. Iron bars do take a little bit longer to break than blocks, but you can still do this. And then he'll take this job and you could trade with this guy. All right, so I want to make a section on trading because trading in Igloos can be a little bit tricky and unintuitive. First off, I want to give a shout out to all of the people who update the Minecraft Wikipedia and make all these tables. I'm taking those directly from there. Makes it a lot easier to talk about. This is the villager day-night cycle, and essentially all that we care about here is the employed working hours. So these are the hours where the villagers are allowed to restock their trades. This happens from 1 minute 40 seconds to 7 minutes and 30 seconds after dawn. Most of the time you're going to be trading on day 2 in a speed run. So this will be 1 minute and 40 seconds after you wake up on day 2. The other thing we care about is the experience for the cleric. In this case, the expert level trade is what we care about with the cleric. This is the pearl trade, so we need 150 experience to level up the cleric to unlock that trade. I'm going to be showing a couple tables of example trades for 2 different scenarios, basically 114 and 116. They're going to be very, very similar though. Most versions of Minecraft that have villagers, which would be the second column, villagers are allowed to restock only twice per day. And if they restock a trade that was previously out, the prices will increase. If you don't know this, version 114.4 actually has a bug where villagers are allowed to restock infinitely, and their prices do not go up when they restock. And this bug only occurs after 10 minutes of in-game time, so that's why when you hear 114 players refer to day 2 trading, that's what we're talking about. We don't care about restocks because we get as many as we want and the prices don't go up. So I'll do the first example in version 114. The first level, we're going to need to level up the cleric with 10 experience to the next level. Most of the time, it's just going to be 10 emeralds for redstone. If you have 26 rotten flesh from either shipwrecks or desert temples or something, that's great. It actually gives twice as much experience to the villager. So not only are we doing essentially 2 less redstone trades, but we're also getting an emerald back. So 26 rotten flesh is actually worth 3 emeralds here, which is kind of huge. So most of the time we're just going to be doing 10 emeralds for redstone. We unlock the gold and lapis trade at the next level. Gold is the most efficient material here to level the cleric and get emeralds. So all we need is 6 gold, which gives us 60 experience, gets us to the next level. And now we get the rabbit's foot and glowstone trade. Rabbit's foot is again pretty valuable. This is going to be worth about 3 emeralds here, but gold is much more easy to get. So we're again, if we can get the gold, we're going to be doing 8 gold trades, which gets us up, unlocks the pearl trade. At this point, there is a restock though that we had to do because the gold trade basically stops after 12, so the cleric is going to have to restock. But because it's 114 day 2, we don't really mind that much. At this point, we have enough emeralds to trade for all of our pearls. This is going to be a second restock. You could leave with 12 ender pearls, but when you cure a villager and it's 1 emerald for 1 pearl, you're probably going to want to leave with at least 14. So that's why these tables have 14 pearls. In total, it only cost us 10 emeralds and 14 gold, but it did cost us 2 restocks. So we had to restock for the gold and we had to restock for the pearls. But still a pretty efficient amount of materials. Now we can talk about day 1 on 114 or any other version. We're probably going to have to trade 10 redstone or 10 emeralds for redstone at the start. Again, we do another 6 gold, but this time we don't want to allow the cleric to restock. If we allow the cleric to restock with 12 gold, let's say we keep the brewing stand next to the cleric and he restocks his gold. The first restock of a villager is pretty fast. It's pretty much the first time they work their job block, they restock the first trade that's out. The second restock takes a lot longer. For some reason, sometimes villagers have to work 5 or 6 times at their job block to get the second restock. So what we want to do is actually trade all of our gold, but not have the brewing stand available for the cleric to restock. At this point, we don't have enough experience to unlock the Ender Pearl trade, so we're going to have to do 2 glowstone trades to get the remaining 20 experience. So we're going to have to sink 2 emeralds into something we don't want, but it's not the worst trade. At the end of the day, we'll unlock the pearl trades. We'll trade 12 emeralds for 12 pearls. We can replace the brewing stand, which allows the cleric to both restock gold and emeralds, and then we just have to pay 2 more emeralds for pearls. And so at the end of the day, we've cost 14 emeralds, 12 gold, and we have our 14 pearls. The last 2 emeralds or gold are both going to be the same. So we could have done this with 12 emeralds and 14 gold, which is what I did in the example, because once we restock, the last 2 gold trades will be available as well. One last thing, the villager on the left, we can, if we're short on emeralds, we can turn him into a job block that gives us some cheap emeralds for free. The 3 most common ones are going to be the Fletcher. 4 logs, if you turn them into sticks, will give you 1 emerald. The Mason job block is a little bit more challenging to make, but if you mine 2.5 clay blocks, that will give you 1 emerald. And the Farmer, also job block is a little bit awkward, but if you trade about 2.2 hay bales on average, will give you 1 emerald. Here's a quick table showing the gold and emeralds needed if you're missing some gold. This is a table for day 2 in version 1.14 for 14 pearls. For every gold you're missing below 14, all the way down to 6, you're going to need 2 more emeralds to make up for that, because 14 down to 6, this is the experience needed for the glowstone level. For every gold you're missing from 6 to 0, each one of these gold is worth 3 emeralds. So if you have no gold at all in a run, it's going to take you 44 emeralds from some other source to fully level up the cleric and get 14 pearls. If you're doing this by Fletcher trades, this is the same table, but every 4 logs gets us 1 emerald. And so now if we look at this table and we have no gold and no emeralds, and we want to do it completely with logs, 176 is kind of a lot. It's going to take about 3.5 minutes of mining with a stone axe in a pretty dense forest in order to get that many logs. And depending on what version you're running, you may have to do multiple Fletchers, because the Fletcher trade does lock after 16 trades. So if you're not on version 1.14 day 2, it's going to get more expensive, and you're going to have to make multiple Fletchers, maybe find a tundra village. So the strategy is not as impressive when you just look at an igloo by itself, but if you can find gold and emeralds efficiently from some other source, igloos go very, very quickly. So where do we get all of these resources to trade for pearls? In this section, I'm just going to go over 4 different strategies I think are all sub 20-minute pace viable on version 1.14 or 1.16. And I'm going to go from my least favorite to my most favorite. So first one is the chopping wood strategy. Not super exciting. You get 2 stone axes and cut down a bunch of trees. When you trade with the Fletcher or multiple the most efficiently, that'll give you 44 emeralds you can use to trade for pearls. Not the most fun strategy, but if you spawn in range of a tundra village, an igloo, and a lava pool, actually it's still fairly quick. My next favorite strat is just going caving. In this scenario, let's say you find a tundra village right away, you get all your beds, you get some food, you find an igloo. You can actually just start curing the zombie villager and then dig down from the igloo. It's already at a pretty low Y level, so you could even set up another delayed waterfall and just dig down. Hopefully you hit a cave, and you can use the furnace to smelt this gold. And if you got 40 logs ahead of time, you can make a Fletcher, get your 10 emeralds, 14 gold, trade for all your pearls once you come back from the nether, and you're good to go. My next favorite strat is pirate strat, of course. That's what I've been doing most of the time in 1.14. I think this one's pretty fun. If you get 2 shipwrecks and 2 buried treasures, on average I have the loot here. not only are you going to get a ton of iron, but you're going to get a pretty good amount of gold and emeralds as well. So with those 4 things, you'll get an average of 15 emeralds and 12 gold, which is enough to trade for all of your pearls. If you get luckier or you do another combination of shipwrecks or buried treasures, you could do this faster. So I think this is a pretty efficient, time-efficient strategy that uses ocean travel to speed up your run. So I kind of like this one. My favorite one, though, is even less. You only loot 1 shipwreck, 1 buried treasure, but you get lucky and you get either 1 or 2 TNT. You can see from the loot table, it's actually fairly common to get TNT from buried treasure. So if you get 1 or 2 TNT from your first treasure and you see a snowy tundra, I would just go try to get a tundra village first, blow up 1 house, and that'll actually give you enough emeralds with the trades to get 26 emeralds and 6 gold with just a single TNT. I didn't know this until I tried it, but tundra villages are actually the best houses to blow up for logs. They're even better than savanna or taiga villages. So you'll be a little bit low on gold with this strat, but you'll make up for it with emeralds. So I would recommend, I don't know, I'm playing version 1.14 a lot right now, and I love pirate strats. I just go in the ocean pretty much every run. If you're trying to look for a monument most of the time and a regular village, but if you find a good amount of gold and emeralds from your first shipwreck buried treasure, and you see a snowy tundra, I would just immediately head into snowy tundra. You can get to an igloo within maybe 4 to 5 minutes with all these materials, and your run is going to be really fast. So I think it's a really fun strat. So that's it for this section. Now we'll, of course, go on to some tips and tricks. So my first trick, unfortunately, has to do with killing the snowy bunnies that appear in snowy tundra. I know people get very attached to these little video game bunnies, but unfortunately for us, they sometimes drop a rabbit's foot, and that is an incredibly valuable item in this strategy. A rabbit's foot, you could see from the cleric trading table, is not only gives us 1 emerald back, but also saves us the experience from having to trade 2 other things that would waste an emerald. So rabbit's foot is essentially a 3 emerald item. And each rabbit has a 10% chance to drop 1, just the adult bunnies. So unfortunately, they're a pretty good target for us to kill. I know that breaks a lot of your hearts. If you have to chase after these bunnies, though, when they're running away from you, they're not really worth the time in order to kill. Only a 10% rabbit's foot drop. But if you do, this is a trick that Matthew Bolan told me. If you put a dandelion in your offhand, you can feed dandelions to rabbits, so they will come right up to you. And you can sadly kill them. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is a very good strategy that gives you essentially 3 emeralds 10% of the time. So it is worth doing. My last trick also comes from Matthew Bolan. This one is if you don't want to do the delayed waterfall method with 2 planks, you can actually do it a separate way. This one doesn't even need a flint and steel. So you can actually break this block, and you can actually use the furnace here to do a exact timing delayed waterfall. There's been a lot of experimenting with using furnaces and grass growing to make a delayed waterfall occur at the exact time you want it to. So you can actually mine the crafting table over there, put this in, and do use the crafting table as a fuel source, and put in any item that that can be cooked. And after a certain amount of time, once you start digging down, once you get to the bottom and this fuel source runs out, it will actually allow the water to go past this carpet. So one crafting table is about the exact amount of time, and whatever you're using in this furnace here, once the fuel runs out, the water will go down to the bottom. So kind of a nifty trick if you don't have a flint and steel. For fuel sources, one crafting table that you get over here is perfect. If you did ocean strats, you can use kelp up here. You can use like potatoes that you got from like a village or something. You can even smelt coal or cobblestone if you don't have anything. So kind of a nifty trick. And that's pretty much it for the video. So I think igloos are super great. I try to run them as much as possible. In 1.14, it's a lot faster strategy compared to the regular, compared to 1.16. But as far as I know, I don't really know if there is a sub 30-minute igloo on any version. So if you're running 116 and you're a little bored of the regular strats and you find a snowy tundra, I think it'd be super cool if someone gets like a sub 25 or something on an igloo run. I'd love to know about it. Let me know in the comments if you do. I think taking a break from regular strats and using something like an igloo is awesome. So with that, hope you enjoyed the video and have fun using igloos.